Welcome to Corner Cafe.
About the things.
And welcome to Corner Cafe. And if you're used to seeing our videos, you know that we have a different view of the coffee shop, so that's pretty great. And I have a great guest today, Joe Massa, and he has been a part of Crawford Broadcasting for how many years, Joe?
Over 10 now.
10 years.
Doesn't feel like it.
Broadcasting.
2013.
Wow,
Thank you. Yeah. And honestly, it's flown by. It's been such a great experience working with all of the gang down at Crawford. And, you know, it was nice to meet you as you took over for our former program director of KLT, and that was Matt Wyatt. And he was a great guy, but it's been awesome getting to know you over the last couple of years. And now I'm a guest on the Corner Cafe. So this is awesome.
We never know what doors may open, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and Joe, you reached out to me because you're an entrepreneur. You've been in radio for a while. You've done media. Kind of like a jack of all trades, as we were talking about before the show. But now you're launching a new company, new idea, and this is pretty exciting.
Yeah, so I started my radio journey back in 2005, so almost 20 years now, and started out of Denver, but then took my first on-air job in small market, South Dakota, little town called Winter, which is 90 miles south of the Capitol Pier of South Dakota. And then from there, came back to Denver, thought I'd get this great on-air job right away, and didn't realize that there was such a big gap between those two markets. So the talent wasn't there. So I had to reinvent myself a little bit and go into the promotion side of radio, where we set up the tents, we do the music, we do all the live events at concerts and venues. And really my love for radio kind of grew from there. But, you know, as the industry kind of grew with the technology, I realized that a lot of the big market jobs just weren't there anymore.
Right.
And it was harder to make like a good living in this industry. The passion was there, but, you know, as a young family man and having kids, had to find a way to make ends meet. So I started a little media production company, and that was called 4 Dimensions Media. And I still run that, but it's a one-man show. It's just something I do to, you know, if you'll pay me to do your marketing, I will happily help you do that. And so that was kind of, you know, the point at the goal there. And I found Crawford, like I said, a little over 10 years ago, and I've loved being a part of this community. It's been so much fun and such a blessing, not only for my faith in God, but also it reinvigorated my passion for radio. Yeah. So, and getting to work with such great hosts and behind the scenes producers, it's really kind of sparked my love again for the industry, which, as I said, technology has evolved. It's now kind of spun into like podcasting. Mm-hmm. So podcasting is essentially radio for the internet, and it just doesn't air on FM or AM airwaves, but you know, it's the same principle behind that. And I think it's a really cool format to get your message out there. And so although this is not my company that I'm starting, I'm launching a division for a company that exists already called the Mindful Agency. And I am their new podcast publicist. And that's why I'm here on the Corner Cafe, because we're trying to collaborate and spread each other's word out there. And, you know, this is such a great platform and such a cool show that you do here. And I just get to sit and drink my tea with you, and we get this beautiful room to sit in. And I love your message and your spirituality as well. And I think this is an awesome opportunity to reinvent myself in an industry, even though I've been in it for 20 years.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? It's just great to have that mentality. We always need to reinvent ourselves, and you know, and never get kind of stagnant and think that we've made it and or that we know, you know, everything about a certain thing. Because there's so much learning no matter what, right? All the time. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's a great way to put it. It's really, really easy to think that you know it all. And I have, you know, a 17-year-old and a 10-year-old that they know everything. You can't tell them anything. So, you know, I see it every day, but myself included, I've fallen into that trap of, well, I've been in radio for so long, like, I don't need to do anything else. Like I've peaked, but then I go, well, no, I mean, because now it's more important to me to spread a message. Yeah. And that's part of, you know, I host my own podcast as well. And that's called The Measuring Post.
Yes, and I love the idea of this podcast. Love it.
Yeah, so The Measuring Post originated a long time ago. The idea of it anyways didn't really come to fruition until last year. And then this year I'm relaunching it as a video format. So this is good practice because when you're in radio, normally it's no face. It's all about the audio. So when I was growing up in our basement, we had a 2x4 in a back utility room. And as we would grow, my dad would take us down and mark your height. So at age 8, you were this tall, and 10 and 12, etc. And the idea of the measuring post is that we always measure ourselves quantitatively in the respects of like how tall you are, how much you weigh, how old you are, how much money you make. But we don't measure ourselves in a qualitative format, like your levels of maturity and your kindness levels and what you do for your community. And I think those are the things that really should be measured. Yeah. So it's a mix of like really inspiring stories from people that have either accomplished something or they're battling something that is very relatable. You know, like most recently I did a show with a good friend of mine going through stage 4 cancer. And whether you've personally been touched by it or a family member, I think it's safe to say almost everyone at least knows someone that's been through that. So it's a relatable format, but it was a venue for him to come on and show the world that he's dealing with this with positivity and with God in his heart and with love in his heart. And he's going to fight to the end for his kids and his wife and his family. Yeah. And it was just something I think it's a way for people to get stories out that maybe would never have had that opportunity before. So. Yeah,
I think that's great. I love that. And as you can tell, he has a great radio voice.
It helps.
Podcasting voice, great, on air voice. So with getting in media, did you ever think, I want to specifically just be on air? Was that what you were mentioning before? Or were you more excited about the production part of it, or both?
So I think originally it was the on air. Yeah. And even before anyone told me they liked the sound of my voice or I should do it because of my voice, I'm a talker, so like even in high school, it was like, you could maybe make, why not at least try if somebody's out there on the radio. So I went to CSU right after high school and I got involved with their radio station up there, which is KCSU. And they didn't ever put me on air, but I would like listen to the songs and make sure that they were appropriate cuts and not vulgar or, anything like that. So just hanging out in a radio station, even though that was a college station, it was just really cool vibe. Yeah. And the people there are cool. And, you've worked in radio long enough. Radio people are cool. We are cool people.
Yeah. I can say that.
Yeah. We're pretty awesome. So, and it's a small world, surprisingly. Radio. It's amazing how many people I worked with at like one station. And then I see them on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever. And now they're in North Carolina or Texas or New York. And it's just such a tight knit community. And watching some of the greats in radio and hearing them and how they conducted themselves on a microphone, it inspired me to want to do that. But to get your feet in the door and to be able to be on air, I mean, you have to earn that, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you start from the bottom. So I like I said, I had to, when I got to back to Denver radio, I had to go into the promotion side. So I was more completely away from not only production, but certainly really far away from on air. So I just got really good at setting up the tent and the speakers and engaging with our listeners. And, from there, I was able to move to production or promotions director. So I wasn't doing the tent anymore. I was in charge of the people at the tent. Right. And then from there, I became a program director where I was in charge of doing the music and doing all the logs that you hear on the radio every day. And then from there, I got to be on air. So my love of radio is that I've seen every aspect of it. I've worked in every department. I've been on AM, FM, satellite, online, now podcasting. I genuinely really love the production though. Yeah. I think I like to call it theater of the mind because you don't see it, you hear it. Right. And really good radio commercials with the sound effects that come in and they invoke a certain emotion. That takes talent. And the guys that are good at it are like, it's really fun to work with and be around. Yeah. And all the stuff that we collaborate with for KLTT, and you do, you're collaborating with all 4 stations in Denver, but not only that, the Crawford brand, and it's nationwide, it's just a lot of fun, but everything that comes through. And when you do your voice work, just really excellent work. So. Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. And it's something that's taken a long time to get good at. I always kind of joke when people first meet me and they find out that I work in radio, it's always this over the top idea, like it's 1980s radio where you turn off the knob and turn it off and rip it off. And it's this sort of like big,
pretty well there.
yeah, it's this like, it reminds me of like a 1980s stockbroker with the pop collar. And he's just like, turn up the volume and rip off the knob. And it's like the best radio, in my opinion, is the type that it's organic. It's like this, it's a conversation. And when I first started doing on air, I tried to talk with a deep voice and it's like, but I don't talk like that. And it sounds so forced. And it took me a long time to realize that good audio quality is like as if there was no microphone here, no camera there. And it's just two people talking to each other. And I think one of my favorite program directors I ever had was a guy named Zach Davis. He's out in Raleigh, North Carolina now. And he told me, he goes, I know that you're talking to 100,000 people, but you have to talk to one person. Right. And if you get good at making it's more of an intimate feeling when you're talking to one person. Right. It's not, hey, out there in radio land, it's, hey, you, how are you? Right. And you develop this sort of relationship with your listeners by doing it that way. And it really helped me grow as an on-air talent, but also it was like, I've really taken that advice just to bigger parts of my life, you know, like even when I coach my son's football team, it's talk to each individual player like they're the only ones that are listening. Right. And it really helps me build a bond. And I think that carries over into my media world as well.
Yeah, that could go in many different directions or many fields, if you are like as a musician or, you know, just everybody. Great advice. Sing to just one person, you know.
Because then they feel it.
Right.
You know, it's easy for you to see a big crowd in front of you and like be overwhelmed by that. You know, people get really overwhelmed by like public speaking. Yeah. And this is a little easier because typically there's no one in the room with you.
Right. But just the microphone.
Yeah, just a microphone and it doesn't judge. You know, when it's funny when you see like big stand-up comedy tours and stuff, a lot of times if they're in these big halls, they turn off all the lights in the audience because that way you don't see 500 people or 5,000 people or whatever the number is. So when you just bring it into like one person, it makes it a little more personable, but also easier for us as on-air talent, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And just for those who are listening, like to get into radio, you said some good tips. You know, you really do have to put in the hard work, kind of like start at the bottom, if you will. Anybody who says, hey, how do you get started? Well, first find like, hey, is there any volunteer positions, or just be around the station, ask questions. And it's also good to do that because then you can kind of see what you like, what you don't like. Because a lot of times we have preconceptions in any field of what we would like, but until we're actually in there doing hands-on, we don't really get, you know, oh, I thought I liked that, but no, I prefer this over here, you know?
Yeah. And I think that goes for both ways. A lot of people think that radio, the only thing you do is talk on a microphone. And there was people I met along the way that's what they, in their heart, they knew they wanted. I want to be on-air talent. Yeah. And then they got in there and they didn't want to do it at all. They go, man, I really like doing this. I like the production, or I like the promotions. The promotions game is fun. Yeah. It's fun to go to all the events, to get, you know, backstage at concerts. Yeah. You get to meet cool people. You get to drive the cool station vehicles. Like, and a lot of people turns out they really enjoy that side of it. Right. But I think keeping an open mind is not only good for radio, but really just any company you work in. Like, be willing to wear more than one hat. Be willing to, as we mentioned, like what would be a good topic to talk about. I think it's stepping outside of your comfort zone. And even if you don't know what you want to be or what you want to do in life or with a company, try it. You know, the worst thing that happens is you go, it wasn't for me, and on to the next venture. Or you say, hey, I thank you for this opportunity. What else can I do within the company that maybe I can find more satisfaction in or just more purpose in. Yeah. So
absolutely. And you never know, because one of my internships out of college, as I did promotions for Mix. I had a summer internship and that was a lot of fun. But never did I imagine, or did I even think or even desire at the time, to be on air. Yeah. So you just never know. And then I never knew, you know, as Matt Wyatt, the program manager of KLTT, would step down and I would take a position doing that. So you just have to be open. And like you said, just, you know, be open to life, be open to opportunity, be open to trying different things.
They say fortune favors the bold. But I think a better way to put it is fortune favors the consistent. You know, if you show up every day and you put in your work and you earn your stripes, the people in the station, the reason Matt wanted you to fill his shoes was because you had proven on so many other levels that you were great at what you do, and you were there every day, and you were reliable. And that's as important or more important than raw talent. And I'm going to butcher that. There's another great saying I liked, and it was, someone with talent will lose every time to someone with no talent, but has a plan.
Yes.
Like if you don't have a plan,
Right.
doesn't matter how good you are. And if you don't have the work ethic, you're going to lose to the guy that comes in and hustles and grinds every day.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen that to be true definitely in my life as well. So talking about how you're going to be kind of collaborating with the Corner Cafe, bringing us some great influencers and guests, because now we're branded underneath Influencers TV. So we're going towards just getting these people who have great life experience and influential in whatever field that they're in. Kind of speak on that, how you are also collaborating with other programmers like Angie Austin and Cassandra with The Calling and some great people.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of great formats, not only for podcasts and radio shows in general, some more, spiritual, religious, some more about finding your calling, or just, how Angie, I love how she focuses just on good news, obviously with a spiritual undertone, but there's people like that in every industry, and they have their own things that they want to promote. They're writing books, they're doing webinars, they're promoting the company that they own or work for. And a lot of times what you used to do in the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s, you would do a media tour. And a media tour would consist of being on morning shows on local stations and trying to find radio on-air morning shows. So the podcast environment is just another way to get a word out, but you can really niche down the audience, because there are some podcasts that are 100% about automotive or about sports or about whatever your topic is. So what I'm doing with this company is finding people with a message that are looking for an audience to share that message with. And then I connect the two. So I'm a bit of a liaison between the client who's looking for a show and the show host who's looking for a client or a guest. So there's a fine line to walk, and we want it to be mutually beneficial for both parties. Like, I don't want to send someone to your show that doesn't fit and doesn't benefit either your audience or for themselves. It's supposed to be something that you both walk away from and you feel good about. So that's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah, that's great. And that's great too, that you have connections in radios. You can offer so much more than just podcast hosts, but radio hosts or both, because that's what we do. We just, repurpose our radio show on the podcasting stuff. So
yeah. And honestly, as like I mentioned, the technology improves and it's continuing to improve. A lot of radio show hosts do monetize and take it to the podcast platform. And it's just another way to reach a different part of your audience. And really the social media side is, podcasts are huge on social media because you're already on there, you're clicking. It's really easy and accessible. Phones haven't got that technology yet where I can turn on an AM dial or an FM, and there's streaming versions of those, but they're not they're not as reliable. And then honestly, people just don't use them as much. They don't. But people are on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. And if your show can be repurposed where you can record like this with the video, put it on YouTube, people can watch it. And then later you can also have the audio play on airwaves. And then, it's kind of the best of both worlds, but it gives you more than one platform to push your message out on.
I think it's important because you do all the work like to record a radio show. And that's why I decided to use StreamYard for recording our videos, and I just repurposed then that audio into radio, and then I repurposed that to all the podcasting channels. And I highly recommend Buzzsprout, by the way. I love Buzzsprout because it goes
I actually use Buzzsprout as well. Some are a little different. If you want to put like video and stream video, there's like Podbean, there's one called Lisbon, but honestly I think for just audio, Buzzsprout is my favorite. And really, if you're gonna do a video with it, use YouTube. It's the king for a reason. It's got the, you can put it on your Instagram, you can put it on your Facebook, your LinkedIn, but people go to YouTube simply to watch video. So you can put those, you can embed those on any of your websites, anything like that. And then just take the audio and then put it in your RSS feed, which can go on your website, on SoundCloud or wherever you post. But Buzzsprout, another good one.
Yeah.
And Buzzsprout, if you want to sponsor us,
Exactly.
we're both talking good about you. But in all jokes, it's a great platform. So
Yeah, and I'm gonna have Joe move over. We're
Yeah,
doing this
you
video, and the sun, which we
this
can't
arm
block.
is golden.
Yeah. So for video purposes, we're moving over here. But yeah, that's great, Joe. So some advice for some people who are listening. How do you grow your audience? And even for myself, within the podcasting vein and even YouTube, how do you recommend that people grow their audience?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of ways to do it. And obviously there's paid and there's organic. Organic simply means you're not paying for it and you're letting your content be found. That takes more time.
Yeah.
But I think those are usually going to be your more engaging clients and listeners because they were searching for a show like yours and they found you.
Yeah.
As opposed to paid where I go, okay, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, here's hundreds of my dollars. Please put me in front of everyone.
Yeah.
So that's usually a quicker way to get more followers and listeners and engagement. But in my opinion and in my experience, it's not as authentic and it's not as loyal. You're not going to find as loyal of a listener as somebody that just found you. So consistency is really the biggest key for podcasting. If you decide that you're going to release every Tuesday, then every Tuesday put one out.
Yeah.
Even if it's not your best work, even if you don't have a guest, even if I got to do a show where I go, I didn't have anyone this week and, I'm out of energy and I've been working, burning the candle at both ends. I'm going to put a 3-minute video out that just says that, and it's, I think, not forcing it and being real with yourself.
Yeah.
Like my message is I want to be a better person. I want to be a better husband, a better father, a better Christian, a better neighbor. And I'm human. So I'm going to have weeks where I don't feel like I want to be nice or I'm overwhelmed and I'm stressed out. So I let those emotions come out. So people can see me being authentic.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to promote yourself is to just not force it and be real, be consistent. And then, as your passion for it grows, that comes through as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I have some shows where I'm like really engaged and we got a great conversation going and people see that and they feel that and they pick up on that vibe. There's other ways like using a company like the new podcast company I'm working for. They're a PR company. Yes, that can definitely help gain a huge following very quickly. Yeah. But it's not free, and a lot of podcasters, especially starting out, there's no money there, this is all, we're doing it for ourselves and our passion and to get the word out. But most people don't have a budget for that. Right. So if you're blessed to be one of the ones that blew up and you got money, hire someone that's better at it than you. Right. That's another way. But, but one more thing I would say as an option is, be a guest on someone else's show that's in your same format, or find shows that you like that are similar to yours and engage with their clients and talk to them in their comment threads. And you build yourself up as a member of that community. Right. And then when you drop the Corner Cafe link in there, they go, oh, Rachel, I've heard a lot of her comments. I like what she says. She's got something. Let's check it out. And then, maybe one of the guys or gals that you promoted one of their shows, they're going to say, check out Rachel's show. This is where this is the next thing you do. Mm-hmm. So just being engaging. Yeah.
All great tips for sure. So Joe, how can our listeners and our people viewing the video, how can they get in touch with you if they want to just learn more about the podcasting arena or just, learn more about radio? And do you mentor people?
I could, I definitely have worked in the industry long enough and I do get a lot of questions about podcasts and what software should I use? What microphone should I use? What this and that. And I never have a problem ever sharing that information. I'm not gatekeeping. I don't want to be like, don't look at the brand of my microphone. This is all just, I have years of experience that I would love to share with people because if it saves you time and it gets you out there producing, there's no harm in me doing that. And I don't feel like I'm losing anything or any of my value by sharing that information. Right. So, I would love to have more people see my show, listen to my show. You can go to themeasuringpost.com. You can find me there. The web or the email address on there is info@themeasuringpost.com. I tried to make it generic, but it's just me. So if you email me there, I will respond. And I respond to every email. Maybe not day one, but I will get back to you. And if you have questions, you would like to pick my brain on radio, podcasting, or if you want to just shoot the breeze, like, honestly, I'm an open book and I'm pretty accessible, and I don't, my show is very small. I'm not Joe Rogan. I'm Joe Massa. There's a difference. But even if I got to the point where I was the size of Joe Rogan, which is, let's be real, it's never going to happen, I would never want that to change who I am. Mm-hmm. In fact, I would want that to push me in a direction where I was using this platform for even more good.
Right.
So, I think that's another way. Be humble with yourself. Remember why you're doing the show you're doing, and find your purpose and share it. And that's what I try to do every day.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you, Joe, for being on Corner Cafe. It's a pleasure to have you on. We're happy to partner with you and have some great guests coming our way and have you back on the show. Yeah,
it's awesome to be here, and I hope we get to do many more of these. And maybe I can bring you over to the measuring post, and we'll go back and forth. And I love the message we get to share and spread at Crawford. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was really excited to be on the Corner Cafe, just because I think this is just another great platform and avenue for us to get the good word out. So, yeah, I appreciate you having me here.
And you like the tea. So,
well, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I like tea. And it's a little later in the afternoon. So I figured coffee, I'd be like,
yes,
so
yeah,
I do like tea.
And I like the smell of coffee. I just don't like the taste of coffee. I don't know, but the smell is amazing.
It's an acquired taste for sure.
But have you heard of yerba mate tea? Yerba mate tea, yeah.
Now, I could lie and say I have, but I haven't.
Yeah, so because I lived in Argentina in 2011.
Yep, I remember hearing about that.
Yerba mate is a drink that they drink in South America a lot, especially Argentina. Anyways, it's a complete vitamin, people. So Google yerba mate, complete vitamin, and I recommend that everybody drink it in the mornings. You have a lot of energy, and it's different than the coffee caffeine. So
now I got something new to try. So that's exciting too.
And I should get sponsored by a yerba mate company. I should reach out.
Buzzsprout and this particular Argentinian tea. I think we just got 2 new major sponsors.
Right, exactly. Now just the time to knock on their door and say, hey.
That's it. Have you seen the latest episode?
Right.
Boy, do I have good news for you.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure. Like I said, I've been talking with Joe Massa, and he's going to come back on the Corner Cafe, and he's just doing a lot of exciting things, and he's encouraging all of us to get out of our comfort zone.
Yes.
And it's time to do it. Don't keep making those excuses to do it. Just get out there, even if you don't feel like you're talented enough or good enough or smart enough. You just have to take that first step. And then many more steps will follow, but be consistent, be true to yourself, and don't waste your time. Time's the one thing we don't get back, at least while we're here on earth. So use it for all the good things you want in life. Amen. Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, thanks for tuning into the Corner Cafe. You can go to our website, cornercaferadio.com, and check out all the videos and our guests. And I'm going to see you at the Corner Cafe next week.